Hello everybody, and welcome to Catherine Sews. Today I'm going to share with you what I think is the best way to resize a t-shirt. I try to avoid buying fast fashion. There's a lot of problems in the global fashion industry that I just don't want to participate in. So most of the shopping that I do comes from either small local companies or secondhand. One of the things I love to do most is to go into a thrift store, find a treasure, and come home and redesign or remake it into something that's just perfect for me. But if you don't know how to sew, your options in a thrift store are really limited because there's only one of each item. So if it doesn't fit you properly, it's going to end up being somebody else's treasure. But if you do know how to sew, you can take that home, resize it, and make it just perfect for you. Right now, thrift stores are still closed, so I can't do a thrift flip, even though I'm dying to do one. One thing I can do is to teach you one good basic skill, and that's to take a big t-shirt that maybe isn't so flattering and turn it into something cute for yourself. So go raid your husband's closet or your dad's closet, find a really big t-shirt, and then find a t-shirt that does fit you well so that we can use that as a template. You're also going to need some matching thread, sewing machine, and if you have a serger, that would be great too. One other thing you're going to need is something to draw on your fabric with. I'm going to use tailor's wax because it works really nicely on knitted fabrics, but you could use tailor's chalk, or if all you've got is a pencil, that'll be fine too, but just turn your t-shirt inside out just to make sure you don't make a mark that doesn't come out. So I found this kind of fun Spider-Man t-shirt, but it's so unflattering and I just don't feel good in it. I don't feel like I have any style but I just don't like it. Part of the problem is this shoulder is dropping right down like that, and I just don't like that. That looks sloppy. So much fabric under here. The sleeves are this weird awkward length and too wide, and this is kind of giant. I have to admit, I did sleep in this shirt a few times, and that was all right, but if I want to go in public in this shirt, I gotta fix this. I also don't like how choky the neck is, and I'm going to show you also a nice way to drop that neck a little bit to make that a little bit more comfortable and more flattering too. All right, so stick around, grab your t-shirts, and let me show you how to do this. So this is the t-shirt I'm going to use as my template or my pattern. I love David Bowie. When I bought this David Bowie t-shirt, it looked a lot like that Spider-Man t-shirt. It was really big in the shoulder, and it had the big sleeves and too big here. And so I used a different t-shirt that I like the fit of, and I cut this one down to just be a little bit more flattering. In fact, this t-shirt also was really big when I bought it. This is from a Janelle Monáe concert, and I just love her, and I love her fashion. And I love this t-shirt. I thought that was pretty cool, but it also had that just big fit everywhere. So I've also done this one. It's got the longer sleeve, which I kept 3/4, and I cut it off just below the name of the tour, the Dirty Computer Tour. And so that I just feel a lot better in it. Okay, let's get started. So anytime you're working with a symmetrical garment, I want you to fold that garment in half. Right, that way we can make sure both sides are the same. So you're going to fold your big t-shirt in half, and you'll fold your t-shirt that fits in half. Good. You're going to lay down the big one and put the small one on top of it. Don't cut off the sleeves of the t-shirt yet. We'll be doing that after, but I'm going to show you there's some times where you don't want to cut off that sleeve first. Okay. Okay, so this t-shirt is all laid out nice and smooth, and then the smaller one goes on top. Also fold it in half and on top like that. And you want to line it up here at the shoulder seam. We want to line up those two center front folds as well. And just get it all smoothed out. This right here is why we don't cut off the sleeve first. Can you see on this one, can you see that little seam there? That's because when I did this one, the curve of the armhole extended into the sleeve a little bit there. And you know what? That is perfectly okay. But if we had cut off the sleeve and couldn't get that full curve of the armhole, it would have been too tight under my arm. I'm going to start tracing around my t-shirt. I'm going to leave a seam allowance width from this curve. So I'm going to flip this sleeve back and just bring that curve out to the edge there. And I'm going to trace about a finger width out from the edge. And then my curve comes out there and here. Good. So here I'm making it just at the sleeve there. But sometimes, as I say, if this bigger t-shirt isn't that much bigger, your point goes out into that sleeve, and you do end up with that tiny little seam there, which there it is again on this side. It's no problem at all to have that there, and it gives you that extra comfort of having it big enough under the arm. Come down. I like to have mine a little bit bigger on the bottom end. I'm going to leave about an inch hem, and if you want to use a ruler to mark your inch, you can, but straight across like that. Sometimes I keep this bottom edge. If I want to really change the neckline and make it a deeper V, I'll sometimes use this bottom edge here, but today I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to keep it right like that. So we'll take this t-shirt away now, and I'm going to cut on that wax line. So the body is cut. Now the sleeve, make sure those are all lined up nicely. And we're going to use that original hem. So I'll take my sleeve for my smaller shirt. I don't mind if this one's a little bit longer. Maybe this one, this little cap sleeve is a little too short now. But I'm going to put the folds right together. And I just need to trace one sleeve. I'm going to trace there. And then I'm going to flip the t-shirt back to just reveal underneath here the curved line of the sleeve. Bring that right out to the edge of your fold. And then again, that little bit of seam allowance sticking out here. I can bring this back in, make sure I haven't shifted anything around. Okay. Good. Okay, a couple things I want to show you about what makes a good sleeve shape. Has to be a right angle here. If you're going up or down, you're going to have a point or a V at the top of your sleeve. A right angle there. And then it comes out and flattens out toward this area, right? Before I cut, I'm going to just double check again that those are all nicely lined up together because I want my two sleeves the same. Look at the difference between the sleeves on this shirt. That's the original shirt and the two sleeves are totally different. Oh well, they'll end up being the same after I cut them. So there are my pieces cut. And you can see that's going to go in there together. Basically what we did is we removed a whole bunch of fabric there and down the side. The first thing I'm going to do for sewing is open my t-shirt up like this, so that the curve of the armhole is curving up like that. I'm going to take the two sleeves and snip a tiny notch right at the fold there. Please make it small, just like that, no bigger, or else you'll end up with a hole later. The sleeve is going now right side down, the t-shirt's right side up, and that little notch is going to go right to that seam. I'm breaking my own rules here. In my video about getting started on your serger, I said no pins should ever go to the serger, but I have to break that rule a little bit. I'm going to take 3 pins, and then the corner of the sleeve comes to the corner of the armhole there, and pin. And the other corner there. Good. So 3 pins in each sleeve should be good. And you can see those edges are going to come together. I'm going to serge those edges together. That's going to fit nicely. So I have to be very cautious with these pins. Or before I even start sewing, I'm taking that first pin out. Nudge up your presser foot and get it under there. Good. Now, just organize your layers, make sure your 2 edges are together, nice and even. On knits, they want to curl. You have to uncurl them and make sure your edges are together. Organize as you go. Just sew a little bit at a time. Pins out well in advance. Because it's a knit, I don't have to sew first, I can just serge. But of course, if you don't have a serger, you can just sew and zigzag. Same on the other side. So the sleeves are serged on, and now I'm going to just serge the side seams together. On the video about getting started on your serger, I showed a cool trick for the ends here, and I'm just going to do that again too. So I'm going to do this without any pins so that I try to stick to my own rules. I'm going to start at that finished edge, but I don't want to have that tail of serging where I have to cut it off and it unravels, especially since I'm not sewing first. So I'm going to be starting upside down. I'm going to come this way and then flip and then go and do the rest of the way. So let me show you that. Okay, this is the finished edges. I'm getting them nicely lined up, but I'm going to start around that seam somewhere. Starting around where the seam is, and I'm serging toward the finished edge, and I'm going to serge until the needles clear the fabric here, just barely clear it. That should do. Okay, now I lift up the presser foot, wiggle, disengage that off the ends, and flip that around. And then I'm getting it back underneath and put the presser foot down. So the end is already serged. I'm coming in probably about 1/2 inch. And then I just have to line up my edges down here and go the whole rest of the way. So because I don't want to have pins here, I am putting the 2 bottom corners together, pinching that, and then finding about the halfway point here and pinching that. So I've got 2 matching points that I would normally pin, but I don't like to have pins at the serger, so I'm just going to hold those and go. I just did one edge, and look, the bottom edge there is nicely finished with no chain of serging coming off the end because of that doubling back technique. It's kind of good, right? So this one edge is done. I haven't done the other side because I'm going to serge right across the whole bottom edge. It's just easier to do it when it's straight rather than when it's already in a circle. So I'm going to do the bottom edge, and then I'll put the other 2 sides together and serge those. Okay, nudging the presser foot up to get that bottom edge in. So that bottom edge is done, and now the other side. Again, I'm going to put the 2 edges of the sleeve together, matching up that finished edge, but I'm going to start a couple inches up from there. Come toward the finished edge and then flip. Good, till the needles have just cleared the fabric, so I lift up, disengage, and flip back and come back the other way. Get it under there and about, well, I think the threads can kind of stretch till about 1/2 inch past. That prevents you from having like a little loop of thread at the end. Good, so I'm just trying it on before I turn up the bottom hem, and I just love this so much more, and I'm glad I left that little extra length in the sleeve. I think that's just about perfect. The neck isn't bad, but I do want to show you how you can drop the neck just a little bit pretty easily. Okay, to drop the neck, I want to unpick this cover seam that's going here. See, it's got 2 lines of sewing there, serging on the back. That is cover stitching. All right, I'm going to start with these little scissors. See how I can wiggle the scissors just under there? Be careful, of course, so you're not cutting the t-shirt, but just snip that. Don't go right up into this back seam here because that's more of a headache, and we're not changing the back, just the front. So wiggle your scissors in under that. Make sure you're not cutting the t-shirt, and just snip your way across. On this side, this one line of stitching will just pop right out. So that's good. The top thread is also pulling out easily too. So now all we're left with is this little serge. It's only a 3-thread serge. I don't want to lose any fabric from the neckband here. So I'm just running my scissors along this way and snipping the serging that way. Oh good, now look at that. Oh, that's nice. That's satisfying. Good. Oh, yes. There we go. That's what we're looking for. Okay. So now, I want to be able to drop this neck a little bit, but it is symmetrical. I want it to end up being symmetrical, so I'm bringing the 2 shoulder seams together and getting that in half, nice and even. Now, I'm going to be cutting down just about 1 inch. We're going to be using the neckband again, so I can stretch that to be about like there. I can't make a big difference if I want to reuse the same neckband, but I can go about 1 inch lower. So again, like the sleeve, we want a right angle here because I don't want a V or a point. And I'm going to blend that right into here and connect. Good. Awesome. Let's cut. See how this edge is curling? I want to uncurl that so I can blend out to the edge again. Good. Okay. So now I'm going to be back at the serger, serging that neckband back on. Perfect. What I'm trying to do here is stretch that neckband to make it fit my new neckline, and then just grabbing it into places that I can hold instead of having pins at my serger. I'm trying not to serge much off of the edge at all. For the bottom hem, I'm just turning up an inch. But you know what? I just eyeballed it when I drew the inch, so I can just eyeball it when I'm pressing too. This t-shirt is 100% cotton, so I'm going to use cotton setting on my iron. And I like to have water in the iron for some steam. All the way around. Okay, sewing that bottom hem. Just get your serged edge under your needle. Arrange a little bit. I want to see where the fold line is laying, and it's laying right on that 1 inch. So that's going to be my guideline for the whole way around. And that's how I'm going to be able to sew it straight. So there we go. Isn't that just so much better? Like, I feel like I could actually wear this outside, and that might even be my favorite new t-shirt. I'm pretty happy with that. The shoulder sits nicely, the sleeve is good, it's not too tight under the arm, and the length is good. I like it. So that's it for today's video. I hope you had a good time with that. I hope you found a t-shirt to give it some new life and some new love, and I hope you learned some good skills. My name is Catherine, and I can't wait to sew with you again. And why don't you go ahead and make my day and subscribe.